So I do all of these electric bike reviews, and one of the things I call out whenever I'm riding is, gosh, you tend to ride a little bit further, sometimes faster, because you have assist. And not every electric bike has suspension. So we're looking at a Juiced Bike's ODK 500 right here. It's an awesome cargo bike. It has a really great load capacity and a really powerful motor, but there's no suspension. It's relatively short. The tires are a little bit wider, but it's just not super comfortable after a while, especially if you live somewhere where there's a bunch of curbs and bumps and cracks and stuff like that. So there are a few options out there. A lot of electric bikes will come with just a really basic seat post suspension that's just, $25 kind of thing. Yeah. But then we've got the Thudbuster, which was like one of the first more premium suspension seat posts that I'd ever seen online. They range in price, so I'm gonna give you some stats here. It's $169 for this one right here. Then they have a 33.9 millimeter diameter one that's $175. This thing comes in all sorts of diameters. So again, that's like kind of how wide that seat post is, and you need to check with your bike, maybe by pulling out the existing seat post to see what size you need. The max rider weight is another thing that I guess is worth calling out. I'm a relatively lightweight guy, and I'm like 135. I don't have to worry about it, but they say officially it's 250, but this belongs to one of your customers. This is Sam, Electric Bicycle Center in Fullerton, California. You're letting me check out the bikes and the Thudbuster. Sure. Thank you for that. Yep. This is a customer bike, right?
Yeah, that's correct. He's a little over 300 pounds.
Wow.
And he commutes over 20 miles a day. Yeah, he upgraded to a 32 amp hour battery, and of course for comfort reasons, we put the Thudbuster on there. But the Thudbuster doesn't come with hard enough
this is like elastomer thing.
So these are like a number 9. They have like a 3, a 5, a 7, and a 9. And for someone that's 300 pounds, I'm 260. I'll go ahead and this is the packaging that it comes in.
Yeah, let's check it out.
And you'll get 2 sets of
little
rods.
Bumpers.
Yeah, so let's see if I can pull it out here.
While you're doing that, I guess this thing is made of forged CNC machined aluminum alloy. Let's see, very, very nice, really clean. It's got these little ridges sort of machined into it horizontally. And I think that's because as you're kind of bouncing up and down on this thing, it can slip down. So one of the things I noticed, even at my weight, was that over time, the post was kind of like going down. And so I really needed to tighten up that collar. And I actually bought a lip lock, which is just an aftermarket part. Oh, they're the bumpers.
Yeah, so you can read numbers off of them.
That one's a 3.
Yeah, and the ones that come on are probably either 5s or 7s. I got 9s for this customer, and I would almost call this like a long travel seat post.
It is. They have 2 versions. So this is the LT, long travel.
Oh yeah, that's right. You have a standard one that doesn't have as nice as a cushion as this one does, in my opinion. This one feels a little bit like a buggy ride. It's like really like makes you independent from the road. If you're doing a lot of potholes, this won't be as jarring for you because it's got that long travel.
And that's one of the trade-offs. When you compare this to one of the just sort of straight up and down suspension posts like we've got over here on the E-Moto. See how it's just straight up and down? But you don't have the same kind of travel. I think they say it's 3 inches on this, 76 millimeters. Yeah. But it goes forward and backwards a little bit when you do that, okay? So Sam's gonna hop on this thing. Thanks, man.
I'm 260, and with these 9s, you can see.
Yeah, I can totally see it.
I'm bouncing hard on this thing. So at my size, a lot of seat posts will bottom out on me, but with these 9s on there, it doesn't bottom out for me at all.
So they say that they call them twin urethane stack with various spring rates. So that's what we were talking about before. And they also said that this thing weighs 540 to 570 grams depending on the seat post diameter and the length and stuff. So, just a little bit more background for you on this. It's neat to, I guess, get a close-up look. I've ridden this. I really like the product. And it's one of the more affordable options at that like 170 mark compared to something like the Body Float.
Yeah, which is 250
250 plus, right? And they offer a titanium one, a carbon fiber one. Their whole thing is like it doesn't go forward and back, and it's meant to dampen vibration, whereas this one actually feels a little bit more bouncy potentially.
I'd like to call out a couple things. You're going up considerably on this, so
oh, that's a good point. You need at least
you're going to be up this high. So if you're already like on your tippy toes and you put this on there and your seat's all the way down, this isn't going to work for you.
That's a really interesting point, because a lot of people with like a step-through frame, you want something that's approachable. Maybe you have shorter legs. You need to include those last 5 inches because it won't go any lower than this.
That's correct. And then the other thing is, we were talking about sizes, and sometimes people have an odd size seat post, so you can get a shim.
Oh, great point.
And you can put the shim in there, and you can get like a 27.2 that'll fit on a
30.9
point, whatever. Yeah.
So what he's talking about is like this cuff, that this slides into the cuff, and the cuff is wide enough that it fits into the seat tube. Oh, look, you're using like a little shim.
I actually had this was one that we did.
Oh my gosh.
And I had it's just
surprise,
like 1/10 of a millimeter off. And so there's nothing that small that we could find.
Yeah.
And we put this little piece of
Coca-Cola
in there. This
product
is a
placement.
MacGyver situation.
I love that, but then it doesn't rattle, right?
No,
and
it's solid, dude. The guy's 300 pounds and it doesn't slide up and down, so obviously it works.
Good luck getting that back in, man. Hey, it's working.
Okay.
The other thing I wanted to call out is because it does pivot back a little bit, if you have an electric bike that has a battery right here, and that plastic protrudes a little bit, so if he was on that, it'd be like crunch, crunch, and it could collide with your battery pack, is what I'm saying. You don't want to have a situation where you're compromising the integrity of your battery or your basket or whatever else you've got going on. If you've already spent a few grand on an electric bike, there's really no way to add like rear suspension. Maybe you were lucky enough to get front suspension and the weight trade-off made sense for you and everything, and that helps a little bit up front, but you know, you're upright. A lot of times like this, your back, your neck can get a little bit sore, especially if this is primary.
He's a true commuter. He's doing 20 miles a day, 300 plus pound rider on this Juice Rider ODK 500. This makes a big difference for him, and it makes a more enjoyable commute for him.
And then this is what the top of sort of the seat post clamp looks like. So it's got 2 bolts, and it kind of slides forward and backwards, so you can really get a nice angle and get the perfect seating position. It's a little bit nicer than some of the stock clamps that I see out there, and it adjusts here with the tool, and then you've got kind of a finger tightener. So when I was doing this on my bike, it took a little bit to kind of get it right using the finger tightener, and then I clamped it down. There's also a kind of a hex inside of that. So I wanted to mention that Thudbuster also makes a little cover for the long travel and just kind of keeps dirt and stuff out, and it makes it a little bit maybe more stealthy so people don't want to steal it from you. These are some of the shims. So Cane Creek actually makes their own shims, so 27.2 to 31.8. So if you had a 31.8 millimeter post, the 27.2 would be too narrow, so this makes it a little bit thicker. Here's another example of a shim. Some of them are longer and shorter. Here's that bumper, again, for the long travel. This is the number 3. And then here are a couple short travel bumpers. So you can just see there's just one of these versus having 2 of these side by side, and the travel just isn't as long with this. That is awesome. Sam, thank you so much. Do you have anything to add on this?
No, I think we covered this one pretty well.
Yeah, this was awesome. For the full write-up on this and some other accessories that relate to electric bikes, I'll see you back at ElectricBikeReview.com. And of course, ride safe.